just trauma dump? Is everyone in class secretly judging me? Let's talk about what it means to be emotionally available on your journey to becoming a future therapist in grad school, and why sometimes it makes you feel like you've been hit by an emotional freight train. Dear future therapist, I'm Gabriella, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So what does emotional availability look like in grad school when you're studying to become a therapist? Quite literally a career in which your job is to be with other people's emotions. But in case you haven't figured it out yet, your therapist is human too. Unless you're using ChatGPT, which I totally don't blame you. In this economy, who can afford to pay out of pocket? So what is emotional availability? Well, it's being present with your emotions, your own, your clients, your classmates. It means not disassociating, not fixing, just being present. And for a lot of us, that can be a really scary and uncomfortable place to live. And because of the very nature of the work that psychotherapists do, when you're in grad school, you're constantly being asked to put yourself in situations that require you to be emotionally available or at least emotionally present. Whether you're doing a role play, practicing a suicidal risk assessment, or just engaging in lectures and class discussions. And all of these things are opportunities for us as future therapists to learn how to be present with other people's emotions, but also our own. There have been numerous times that I have openly ugly cried in class, in role plays, in lectures, in group counseling sessions, you name it. I consider myself to be a highly sensitive person and someone whose emotions are very much at my fingertips at all times. And these things haven't necessarily surprised me, although sometimes they are a bit unexpected. And I constantly feel this inner battle within myself to hold back, to not express too much, to not show my emotions too freely. This is all just part of the process. And that said, it's definitely a struggle when you're left at the end of the day to go home with those feelings and that emotional hangover that comes with it, wondering if you've just shared too much. I have been there many times. But on the flip side of that, when I experience other people in my cohort open up, be vulnerable, share their emotions freely, I have such respect for that because it's not easy to show up as your full authentic self all the time. And no, grad school isn't therapy for us, but it does force you to be self-reflective. And in doing so, it stirs up a lot of feelings. For example, when my cohort attended our first residency, so this was our first in-person experience since my whole program is online, it was the first time we were tasked with practicing our counseling skills in person. And we had the option in these role plays to either use real life experience or just make up a scenario. And everyone in my little role play triad decided to use real life experience because honestly, it's just easier to speak from actual life experience than constantly be making up a character as you go along. Everybody engaged in these role plays is a student, so because of that, the professors advise not to open up about any particular trauma. So we do keep things light, but it's definitely not surface level. And as someone who likes to commit to things fully, I definitely wanted to give my fellow cohort member the opportunity to practice some real therapy skills. And so I chose to be as open as I could in those moments. And I have to say, by choosing to open up in this way and be fully present with my fellow counseling students, it made for such an enriching experience, not only because you get to know somebody on a deeper level, but you get to really see what it feels like to be in the presence of somebody else's emotions. And you get to experience the countertransference and everything that comes with that. It also gave us the opportunity to create a safe space for each other. And the fact that we were able to be so emotionally open with each other was a testament to the quality of that safe space that we had created, which ultimately is the type of environment that we want to be able to create for our clients. Also, I just want to be clear, I don't mean that you're totally breaking down during every role play or you're leaving a mock group counseling session, like needing to go to therapy yourself. Like that can happen, but this is just about being emotionally present and comfortable with whatever comes up for you. And then also having the opportunity to practice your own emotional regulation after those experiences, and sometimes maybe even before. As a future therapist, I would never want to be in a situation where I'm asking a client to go somewhere emotionally that I'm unwilling to go myself. I've learned so much more from sitting with my own emotional discomfort than anything I've read in a textbook so far. Bottom line, emotional availability and being able to be emotionally present is a gift, especially for anyone seeking to be a therapist. However, sometimes it just freaking sucks, especially when you're feeling exposed in front of other people, in front of your professors, fellow counseling students. Enter emotional hangover. An emotional hangover is that shame spiral or emotional fog you get after you've opened up or shared deeply. Brene Brown calls it the price of authenticity. I call it a Tuesday. So I'm now in the third quarter of my program, and I have to say my vulnerability or emotional hangovers have definitely decreased. I just finished up residency 2, where we had to practice multiple days of group counseling sessions. And one of the group counseling topics was grief. We had to write a letter to our grief. But what all these experiences have taught me is that you can learn to build a resilience towards these things. I never used to be so sensitive, and I would definitely consider myself a highly sensitive person. Actually, that's a lie. I have always been sensitive. I just wasn't as open to it until I started acting classes back in my early 20s. And then all of a sudden, like, all of my emotions were at the surface because I was encouraged and trained to be able to do that. So now I'm a total basket case. Just kidding. No, but now I have so much more access to my emotions. And all of these experiences have given me a way to kind of emotionally crumble so that I can learn how to build myself back up. In my future practice, there will be times when I'm sitting across from a client and they start talking about some experience or some trauma that maybe I too have experienced. And I want to be able to be that sturdy foundation for them that can hold space for those types of expressions of vulnerability, and then not judge them when they crumble, because I also know what it's like to sit in that discomfort. So yes, there are times when being a highly sensitive person is a source of insecurity, but I'm learning to embrace it as a strength. And that is becoming more and more true for me every day. Here are a couple things that I do to cope with the vulnerability hangovers I experience. So 1, give yourself a soft landing. After emotionally intense days, I don't schedule any big social stuff. I give myself time and space to just re-regulate, reflect, and just be with myself. And sometimes that means just turning on some trash reality TV or anything that just makes me giggle. 2, journal. Shocker, right? I know. Isn't journaling like the answer to life? Whenever I'm in these like vulnerability, hangover, shame spirals, I try to just write down the story that I'm telling myself, and that disrupts the thought process or the shame spiral. Number 3, phone a friend. And maybe not a friend in your cohort or your program, but somebody totally unrelated. And I don't even necessarily talk about the thing that was triggering me or that elicited some sort of emotion. I just talk to get my mind off of it. Also, you can talk to your therapist, obviously. And number 4, reframing. Reframing emotional availability is a skill, not a flaw. Now, this definitely takes time to get there, because it's one thing to be able to say something, it's another to actually believe it. I'm definitely still on my journey of getting there, but going into this field has definitely accelerated that journey. Have you ever had a vulnerability hangover in your counseling training program, and what helped you through it? Let me know. Drop it in the comments. Dear future therapists, whether you're crying in class or powering through a practicum session, I want to let you know that you're doing brave, beautiful work. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, or if you have any ideas for future episodes or topics you think I should cover, let me know in the comments below.